Hey guys, welcome to the weekly recap. And it's been one hell of a week.
Oh, you
COVID
can you can say that
ravaged
again.
us. COVID ravaged not just us, but the NFL. And Ramsey has a couple of things to say, especially considering how his team performed relative to how others in the league may have performed, even though they're considered the worst.
So yeah. Before I make any specific call outs, like fuck you, Joe Mixon, for being terrible until week 4, and then you get 45 goddamn points when I put you on my bench after you've been terrible. I'm just gonna say there is. I'm opening this up for debate. Might put a poll in the chat for the league. Who is the unluckiest player in our league? Is it me, who has had such underperforming consistently, and then on top of times when I do perform well, go up against the people who score the best in the league that week? Or is it Rocco, who, having a one game win better record than me, lost to Scott, who fielded 3 illegal players in his lineup and still had a higher score than both Rocco and myself. So if I played Scott, I also would have lost.
So
So
the
I didn't
age-old
lose to Scott,
question.
but I would have. So like, who is the unluckiest player in our league this year? I'm voting for myself, but I might be biased.
And and so we asked this question last week. Will Scott actually set a legal lineup this week? And the answer is no. But the answer also is it doesn't
He
matter.
doesn't need to.
Like if would
Oh
I
my
care?
god.
I don't know. But it's absolutely absurd. And you look at it like you also were the worst manager with 69% of the best possible lineup. You could have topped the league almost in points this week and instead set a lineup that just lost you to Keeley by also the biggest blowout of the week. So
Indeed.
you
Because Keeley, the other person aiming for the bottom of the barrel, had the highest score in the league this week.
it's
And
absolutely atrocious.
I'm sitting there with Sam Darnold in my rapidly diminishing uh, clip of QBs getting injured and probably, I think, not playing next week. So I have to figure out that situation. I had James Robinson, who I switched out Joe Mixon for, playing a decent game, but not a 45-point game. Uh, I had Calvin Ridley get 0 points,
He
no
goose egged. He
receptions
goose
for an
egged hard.
entire game.
He goose egged so hard. What was with that?
I don't know.
It
And
makes
then of
no
course,
sense.
I have I picked up Robert Tanyan, or whatever his name is. Is it Robert? I'm looking it up here. Yeah, Robert Tanyan, wide receiver slash tight end for Packers, and I was like, I need some depth at tight end. I'll put him in, and then I wasn't really sure because I was like, hey, and then he goes and scores 34 points.
I mean,
I
that
was like,
was a little of an outlier. There's no way you could have seen that coming.
there is no way,
He's such
but
an
there he
edge
sits
player.
because my other option at tight end, I was trying to place Johnny Smith, and I went with who did I go with? Uh, I went with Jordan Akins, uh, who not great, not terrible, and I was like, I should have, being the Packers fan that I am, I should have just put in the guy who I knew Aaron Rodgers was going to be throwing to, but because given how
But
terrible Houston has
given
been going,
Devonte Adams is out, MVS doesn't put up shit. He's
aside
just
from Week
been
1 when I didn't play
garbage.
him,
He's just been garbage.
yeah,
And Alan Lazard is on the IR, who's just seems to be Aaron Rodgers' like favorite guy. He talks him up off the field like a ridiculous amount.
yeah. But like my once mighty receiver core, Michael Thomas, Calvin Ridley, Marvin Jones, uh, Antonio Brown, Mike Williams, has just been like such a putz this season. And I'm not one to play the blame game, but like I feel like I'm doing the best that I can here.
Fair enough. And meanwhile, we've got Scott with, let's see, a solid number of points on his bench from all the players that he left there, even after putting the IR guys in, or rather leaving the IR guys in. I'm going to have a conversation with him next week when I get home, because I've got 3 people on a wait list to get into this league, and Scott just doesn't seem to care.
From one end, from like one perspective, I 100% see where you're getting, and like a smaller part of me, because I'm playing Scott this week, and I don't want it to happen to me again. But I honestly kind of want to see how far he can go, not touching his lineup at all, and if he's already doing better than me, like.
And he's apparently not watching these videos.
Apparently
so
not. But
who
like
knows
there's a
could
deeply
become.
there's a deeply kind of like dark humored part of me that like I'm really kind of interested to see, is he the dark horse of the league? Can he make it without touching his lineup once since the first week of the season?
So he's always said to me that, well, Sleeper doesn't give me any notifications. And I've always said to him, well, have you
Just look
checked
at
your
it.
goddamn notification settings? Plus, look at your lineups each week. How do you go this long without looking at and seeing that Saquon Barkley is injured? One of the major players in the NFL. What the fuck is going on with you, Scott?
All
So
right. So
I almost want to just let it happen. But as commissioner, I also don't feel that I should. But also, since he's not
scales of
getting Sleeper,
responsibility are tipping.
since he's not getting league notifications, maybe I should just put up a poll, see what people think. Should we
We can have
let
2
Scott
polls coming from
proceed,
this. Yeah.
have a taco buy kind of deal going, which may not end up being a taco buy if he keeps winning with 3 IR people in his lineup, or should I get him to change his team or get someone else to replace him? I don't understand how you put $100 on something and then just not pay attention for the whole season.
Like even cursory glances, like sure you're not getting notifications, but like look at the app like once a week before Thursday. Just do it on Wednesday and be like, all right, here we go. At the very least.
I mean, honestly, because when I was starting up this league, one of the big conversations I had with Rick, who I knew was going to join the league, was, well, what kind of buy-in do we have? And the whole reason I set the buy-in at a rather high number relative to the number of other fantasy football leagues I play in is because it's a dynasty league and I wanted people that were invested.
Yeah.
And Scott doesn't play much fantasy football. And so when he wanted to join, I had this conversation with him. I was like, look, I'm trying to get people that are invested and it's going to have a high buy-in. And are you sure you're ready for this commitment? Because all right, it's not like you're having a kid, but like it's a commitment. Like you're gonna have a year after year team.
It's not a
right?
kid, but it's the flour sack they give you in home ec class back before that got cut by school budget cuts. And you're like, all right, don't let the egg break. Make sure the flour sack doesn't get a tear in it, and check in on it every once in a while.
Yeah, check in on it every once in a while. And
Also,
you're
can
not
I
gonna.
just do a quick cut in here and say I'm kind of appreciating, seeing as he doesn't watch these, how this is somewhat morphed into the half recap and half shitting on Scott weekly video, because he's just not doing anything. We're at 2 weeks in a row. We'll see if it continues, but that seems to be, it's morphing into the weekly recap / shitting on Scott episode of our weekly recap.
I don't know how we just don't include it in our recap. It's what I see every week. It's half of my thoughts about this league every week. Is just how shitty Scott is. So, yeah, who knows? But you're right though. Going back to the actual league, overall pretty low scoring week.
It was really kind of underwhelming.
And
all league round.
We've seen better. It's because of all the COVID. Let's be honest. I mean, we saw Monday night Brian Hoyer just play against the Chiefs and somehow maintain a reasonably well-paced game where Mahomes wasn't putting up. I have to give credit mostly to that defense, but that was such a just terrible game. I wasn't even watching it, just looking at the play-by-play, and it was just disappointing.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, we lost the Titans Steelers game entirely. The Pats Chiefs game got moved to Monday, and then of course there was no Cam Newton on the Pats. And it's a very muted season, spiked by constant season-ending injuries, which is very, very opposite ends of the spectrum.
Constant season-ending injuries. We just
I
got
mean,
more of them this
who
week.
went out this week? Austin Eckler is gone for the season, I think, or at least it's something serious. Who else
It's
went
going
out?
to be big. It's going to be big. Nick Chubb's out for at least 6 weeks, it looks like, with an
And
MCL.
I still lost to Keely. Just throwing that out. She had Nick Chubb get her a total of 4.5 points, and I still did worse than that.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. And I think the muted offseason or preseason has to do with that.
Oh, I think it's
But
the prime thing, but like, goddamn.
yeah, and honestly, I think we're going to see more of this. We're going to see more COVID games going forward. Everyone's
Yep.
got to get ready. Everyone's got to prep their lineups, make sure they have that depth. In a lot of leagues, I know they're, changing things around. You declare a different player that you think is going to start. This is a dynasty league. We've all got 30
Like I said, we've got a lot of
some
players to
odd
throw around.
deep
Make
rosters.
sure you've got depth.
Yeah, make sure you've got depth. If you don't have someone to start, that's on you.
And hey, as we've seen, not starting
this
somebody
is
for certain
as
positions can
NFL
be a
like.
winning strategy.
It's as NFL like as fantasy football can get. I mean, I'm sure it could get better or like get more intense and more NFL like. But this is pretty much peak of where I'd like to see fantasy football. So
if we start getting any more
not
NFL
ready,
like, we might have to start throwing around a lot of. I was just about to make a tasteless joke about player conduct off the field, and we probably shouldn't go there.
We probably shouldn't. This is a family podcast after all, Ramsey.
Yeah, I hear that, Scott? This is family friendly. Imagine if it wasn't what we'd be saying about you.
Yeah. So fuck you. Fuck your team, Scott, and play a legal lineup. And that's all. Goodbye, everyone.
That's it. That's the recap.